I've got a 3-page Word file. Can I use that, or does it have to be a PowerPoint?
We would prefer to have bullet points, but if that's too much work,
I have those.
one slide or from the Word document.
Thanks. Should I send that to you, or should I just use
No,
this thing?
USB stick to my colleague Anna.
Which one is it?
It's the one that says Network Forum.
This one.
I'm Diaz Lopez.
When I present
I'm the first one. Fernando.
it's
Uno,
fine.
yeah.
Just putting one.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. How do we work with the microphone?
It's working.
This one? Okay.
Yes, we can use that one if you want.
No, it's not open. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having returned back to the room. We're going to start with something that is the first time we do. This is inspired in the actual theme of the Inno4SD network. If we are a network of networks and we are reaching out other networks, it makes a lot of sense that we actually get to know each other. I know that there might be other networks present here, but the idea is to start somewhere. Obviously, this has been a great 2 days, and this is the first time that we are all in this room together. And what I was telling you, that if it is true that we were to achieve this mission and this intention to bring networks together in topics related to innovation for sustainable development, and then by doing that help to reducing this fragmentation of knowledge, because what I was explaining yesterday at the introduction is that the questions that we have here in South Africa are absolutely relevant for India, for Mexico, for Turkey, for Sweden, in different contexts with different priorities. So we're talking about the same thing when we talk about low carbon economy. In other places they call it well-being economy. Obviously there are fundamental differences in the implementation and conceptual differences, but sometimes when we phrase things, we seem to be talking about many, many different and conflicting views, but sometimes it's not that much the case. So having that in mind and understanding that we are a network of networks, and we have networks, we have organizations, we have individuals, we interact with programs. And today, we really want to welcome a few of the networks that are present today. I do apologize in those cases where some of the other networks or some of the other individuals who would have wanted to present and get to know, but that's also the spirit of all the whole week. So I'm going to take the opportunity to thank our real host this week is Lorenzo Fioramonti from the University of Pretoria, the Center for the Study of Governance Innovation, because they organized and they had this brilliant idea together with Alan Brand. They put us in contact and they said, well, we're organizing a well-being economy festival. And what does that mean and how do we interact? So it's been a great opportunity for us to be here. And they also have a network. It's the We Africa Network. So we are grateful to them for the opportunity, and I would want them to come to the floor and then present us what they do and who they are, because this is one of the things. After that, I'm going to ask the Sustainability Transition Research Network to present what they do, what they are. Then I'm going to ask the Resource Efficiency and Cleaner Production Network. Is also someone that works at the Clean Production Center is going to be here. Then we're going to have then an academic network, again the SEATS, the Sustainability, Massimiliano will tell us exactly, I forgot the name. Then we're going to have a forum There is also a network, a forum and a program on life cycle innovation, sustainability through life cycle innovation. And then we're going to have a society, because what I want to show, or what we want to show with this, is the diversity of entities. Sometimes we're just individuals, we represent something, we have a vision, and we were really inspired by some of the messages yesterday that together we can actually promote change. In isolation, there is not much opportunity for actually achieving, whether it's sustainability, whether it's social justice, whether it's helping out to reduce the poverty gap. Only together, if we align our visions, we can actually move forward. And Professor Franz Berghaus this morning was very clear on saying that we need new modes of innovation. Our current vision of innovation, somehow, in view of all these challenges that we have, is no longer adequate. So we hope that our effort, actually creates that connection, the starting of those connections at the individual level. Afterwards, you could always take it further. And our role as Inno4SD is also to maintain those spaces and environments for fostering collaboration. That's what we have also as a mission, this idea of reducing fragmentation. In practice, is just helping out, providing the space, providing the means to everybody, so everybody can reach out, and together we promote change. So without any other introduction, we're going to ask Lorenzo to come to the floor, and then I'll be doing this as if we were in a elevator pitch kind of thing. So don't feel stressed. This is not a lecture. This is just to get to know each other, and coffee, lunch will be a good opportunity to continue. Thank you very much, Lorenzo.
Well, thanks, Fernando. Is it okay?
Yeah, you need this.
No, I don't need it. I'm going to speak like this. I stopped using PowerPoint a long time ago. It just was too complicated, and people would look at the slides and not look at me. So I think, thank you so much for, actually, he said he's grateful to us, but actually I'm grateful to you and to the Inno4SD community, and for coming to Pretoria, to South Africa, and for engaging with us. We agree completely with what you said. We feel that fragmentation is a serious problem, and mostly because we are challenging a paradigm that has been with us for so long, and we think we can challenge it by throwing little pieces of information, like when the wall is gigantic. And what we require, what we need, is much more collaboration across different sectors, across different geographical spaces, across different sciences and disciplines, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's why we created something around the notion of a well-being economy. Because we felt that people working traditionally on sustainable development were often, like looking at, as you said, a low-carbon economy. And then there were people working on social justice issues, and they were not really happy about just having a low-carbon economy, because the low-carbon economy can be very unjust. I mean, so many people we work with, even in the Silicon Valley, dream of a low-carbon economy dominated by robots. And like, that is not necessarily an economy that's going to be able to generate purpose and well-being and satisfaction and happiness, right? And so over the past few years, there have been a lot of attempts within the powers, within the, like the rooms of power, the chambers of power, and outside, to try and build something different. But all of them have been not always able to communicate with one another. And in this part of the world as well, we have very good colleagues, extremely committed, working on the green economy, and trying to go out there and talk to people living in mud houses what the green economy looks like. And I can tell you, the guys in the mud houses know what the green economy looks like. They've been living the green economy for many, many years. And so there is this kind of discrepancy, disconnect. So we at some point a few years ago thought that we needed a different vision, a vision that would be able to bring all of them together, and we thought that the idea of well-being is so crucial, right? What we want is economies that are generating well-being, that our quality of life improves. And of course, it cannot improve if we're working harder and harder, if we have more traffic jams, if we're polluting our planet, our air, if the water we drink has to be sterilized or has to be bottled to be safe for human consumption. And at the same time, we cannot have well-being if we have more and more inequality. I remind you, you're living in the most unequal country in the world. One reason why you get shuttled back and forth every single day is not because you guys cannot walk. It's because it's not safe to go from our hotel to our venue. And we should never forget that for as long as there is such a level of inequality, there couldn't be anything green, low carbon, well-being oriented, and so on and so forth. So we thought of bringing all of this together and build a sense of a new narrative, and which I think is desperately needed. So the We Africa Network is the first of a range of new global networks being created in different parts of the world around the idea of economies that are transitioning from blind pursuit of growth to a much more intelligent goal, which is improving the quality of life of human beings that cannot live a better life on a broken planet. And during this festival, over the past couple of days, we have generated a lot of opportunities for people from different backgrounds and different countries to come together and think about what that means to work together. And here it's a bit of a provocation, if you will. What that means cannot be winning Horizon 2020 programs every 5 years and so. It needs another level of commitment. It means committing to trying and changing the rules of the game every single day. If what we know scientifically is even 10% true, we have almost no time to change the direction in which we're going. Almost no time. So unless we up our game, unless we upgrade and start building bridges across different groups, the political scientists, the economists, the engineers, the biologists, the medical doctors, the artists, the creatives, the religious leaders, and so on and so forth, we're never going to get there. So during the festival, we tried to identify possible avenues to start building these collaborations that need to go beyond academia, need to go beyond business, need to go beyond all sectors in society, and actually start connecting the dots. So besides We Africa, you will soon hear about something that we call We All, the Wellbeing Economy Alliance, which is nothing else than, in a sense, what you're trying to do within the scientific and practice community. We want to try and do across different communities around the world, a network of networks, a platform that allows the emerging economic innovation around the world to become visible. We have been mapping innovations around the world. There are so many. And yet every time some of us go on TV and say there is another economy possible, we get ridiculed because it's not visible, because our media is not making it visible, because our universities are teaching the wrong things to our students every day. And because it's like we've compared it to a Copernican revolution. We knew from Eratosthenes' time in ancient Greece that the planet wasn't in the middle of the universe and was actually rotating around something big called the sun. And yet it took more than 1,000 years for science to acknowledge that. We don't really have another 1,000 years, but I think we are on the verge of a new Copernican revolution. But that requires people that move out of their comfort zones, because Copernicus or Galileo would have never done what they've done had they just said, well, you know what? I've done my job. I've written my paper. That's it. At some point, some people will acknowledge it and cite it. They went out there, started communicating, disrupted routines, even went on court and risked being executed for believing in those ideals. And I think time has come for the entire sustainability community to come together in many different ways and try to use all possible avenues to make a difference. So watch this space. We invite all of you to collaborate, join. This is not a proprietary thing, so it's not that we want you to join us. We're just going to be out there creating a space that anybody can occupy. I'm very happy to be part of whatever you're going to be co-creating during these 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You can reach out to Lorenzo. He's around. If not, we'll find a way to connect, certainly. He has some really fascinating books that if you're interested in what he said, this is not a commercial, but it's really, I really feel strongly about it. Now, Sustainability Transitions Research Network, and thank you.
Bruno.
And
Hi, so we're an academic network, so we still use slides. Yeah, that would be, yeah. And okay, wonderful. So hi, I'm Bruno Turnheim. I'm representing here with Anna Wizorek, who might fill in for a specific topic, the Sustainability Transitions Research Network. So really, the Sustainability Transition Research Network, STRN, is an international research network. It's not funded. It's really about developing collaborative research activities, sharing research outputs. It's entirely independent. It's research-driven network. It's open to anyone involved in sustainability transition research. So our mission is to deepen the scientific understanding of sustainability transitions through a program of networking, research coordination, education, and synthesis activities. So it's really a network for scientists, made by scientists, who look at new, novel models to deal with innovation for sustainable development. The ones to which Franz this morning in his keynote alluded to without sort of filling the dots. And this is really what this network does. So towards this animating this scientific and academic debate, we provide a meeting place and a platform where researchers can engage in a vibrant intellectual exchange. We also, and this is a more recent development, we want to see ourselves as a hub for practitioners. So increasingly in our meeting places, in our large events, but also within the community, we are getting in touch with policymakers, practitioners, business leaders, etc., who are very eager to learn from us, with us, co-produce agendas. And this is really something that we're really eager to continue. So what are sustainability transitions? In one sentence, along the problem framing that Franz presented this morning, the long-term, multidimensional, and fundamental transformations of large socio-technical systems towards more sustainable modes of production and consumption. These processes take 50 to 70 years, and there are a couple of historical examples to build from. And there's obviously buoyant, vibrant activity, research activity, trying to uncover the new emerging ways to do these things as these transitions unfold. So it's an emerging scientific field. We have, it's about 20, 25 years. We have some of the founding academics in this room, which is always good. We have a yearly international conference. This year it will be in Manchester. Last year it was in Gothenburg. It travels every year. We have frequent workshops on very specific issues, but also PhD schools, professional organization, training events. We have a dedicated journal. This is independent from the network, but very linked to it. And here you see what the cover looks like. So it's Environmental Innovation and Societal Transitions Journal. The community is growing year by year. I'll show you quickly in a few slides, but currently we're about 1,500 scientists mostly. We have a website to structure our visibility. We have a mailing list every 3 months that summarizes main academic outputs, upcoming events, workshops, etc. And we have a mission and research agenda that really maps out what the field is about, what the new scientific frontier is, and this is currently being reshaped and will be launched again towards the end of the year, perhaps in January. Currently, we have one that is slightly outdated from 2010. And because this field is moving really rapidly, we really need to update this. And as I said, we have an increasing influence and mobilization of researchers at the science policy interface. I can mention in Europe, which I know best, the European Environmental Agency is very interested. A number of national environmental agencies are interested. Cities are very interested in what we have to say. The OECD is interested, and they're trying to process that knowledge, what it means for their specific activities. So this is really to show you over time the development of the field, and this is just the amount, the productivity in terms of research output of the field over the last 10 years. You see an explosion of papers dealing with sustainability transitions. Here, for scientists, I know this may not speak to all of you, this is the kind of scientific journals that we mostly publish in. So you see energy issues, with energy policy being the first one, technology forecasting and social change, Journal of Cleaner Production, our own journal, which is very new and still produces very interesting, important output. Research policy, interestingly, we don't publish that much in research policy, but that research is very impactful, etc. I'm not going to go through all of them. In terms of the sectors that have been primarily studied up to now, there's a huge dominance of energy issues, but this is also something that is being broadened. In terms of the research centers that are most active in this field, you see a dominance of Dutch, British, and Swedish universities. And this is largely owing to the history of the field developing 20 years ago, with these particular research centers being pioneers in developing these new approaches. So over time, they have acquired significant capacity. But we see that many universities are now taking up this issue and are trying to build research capacity. Ooh. And so I'll skip this. This is just a division of the main topics that we have. So there's a research theme on looking at history, learning from history to inform future and current pathways, learning from success and future experimentation on the ground, the role of policies, new forms, new approaches to policy making that these transitions may warrant, the role of powerful actors, vested interests in transition, in shaping them positively, negatively, the role of social movements, grassroots initiatives in providing new narratives, new visions, new activities, and the role of geography in transitions and the role of practice. There are new themes developing more recently, transitions in developing and emerging countries. I was going to let Anna talk about this, but I see that I'm completely over time. But we have a very interesting session this afternoon at 3:30 covering these issues. We have a growing PhD network. We have new attention to the role of modeling. Can we model these phenomena? And I think I will leave it to that, and I'll just show you. That was for Anna, I'm sorry, Anna. And these are just two of the main upcoming events to which you are warmly invited. So the 9th International Conference in Manchester and the 3rd PhD transition in Utrecht.
Thank you very much, Bruno. And we're also very grateful to the Sustainability Transitions Research Network for the contribution to this symposium, because they've been really active setting up a very interesting panel today. They really made a difference for PhD and early career research, early career researchers academy tomorrow. So thank you, and then we hope that that list will be also larger and more in collaboration with Inno4SD. Thank you. We're going to go now to seats. Massimiliano.
Okay. Thank you for being here. SAIDS is a network that connects 5 Italian universities. We created a network to achieve some economies of scale in our system. So maybe it's difficult to see because, sorry, but the leading, something is not working here. Sorry, do we need the pointer or? It is not working. Okay, sorry. Okay, you see there, I mean, the castle in Ferrara, where which is the main leading unit, and then 2 Roman universities, Tor Vergata and Roma 3, the very old Bologna University and Catholic University in Milan. So it is a network of environmental and ecological economists we hope, I mean, broad in terms of way of thinking and research. I also take advantage of the castle to anticipate that we are going to organize again this next year a workshop in Ferrara. Fernando was there last year in between the end of May and early June, but I will share the knowledge about the so this is the website where you can find information. So you have the projects and many other items there. Something you may find of interest, linked to seeds, we have this at University of Ferrara. The Copernicus was mentioned when Copernicus was a student in Ferrara, maybe a PhD student, I think. This network is an international network that we are trying to connect to Inno4SD, and I also anticipate that in November 2018 we're going to have the event in Chile. So again, even this news is going to be shared with you, and we welcome you. The first output of this network is this book, and not which I'm pretty proud of this collection of books, and it's just published last week. So I think it gives the idea of even in the title of the breadth of issues and research we aim at. Other interesting things. Okay, these are more specific lines of research within economics and political economy. I mean, so eco-innovation is really a big one. So the economics of waste and circular economy, and you see many other, for example, sector analysis, input-output things are also part of this ecological economics way. I also welcome, we have a new working paper series, so we can also provide the reviews if you want to send your paper for being included in this Repack Ideas series. I use 2 minutes to share with you the projects. So this is the more academic part, but the projects we have been involved in the recent past. One was a project where also TNO, UCL were about indicators of innovation. It was a very nice project. Climate policy, again UCL was there. An FP7 project about decarbonization and policy mixes in Europe. A more specific project we are in now is this gas bio issues project focused on the social acceptance. Perfect. And very final, maybe the main one we are in and we have been involved for is the topic center under the umbrella of the European Environment Agency. We have worked for more than 10 years under this umbrella, and this topic center is specifically oriented towards the green economy, circular economy, policy-oriented analysis. So it's, I think I'm done. Okay.
Thank you very much, Massimiliano. Now we're going to move to a network of practitioners, intermediaries in the process of helping companies to achieve resource efficiency and cleaner production. We don't have a presentation, so we just we're going to send a brochure about this network around by email. It's available outside. There are some brochures about the global network of resource efficiency and cleaner production centers. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
All right.
Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leander Reiters. I'm from the National Cleaner Production Center, South Africa. And I just briefly want to tell you a bit about the RECP-Net, or the Resource Efficient and Cleaner Production Network, and the activities of the network, and of course how the NCP South Africa participates within the network. So just briefly, the RECP-Net is a global network dealing or focusing specifically on resource efficient and cleaner production activities. The network was established as a joint initiative between the United Nations Environmental Development Organization and the UN Environment Program. And this was as a result of the joint program on RECP that the two organizations or UN agencies started way back about 20 years ago. And as the need for support in developing and transitioning economy countries increased for support with RECP, as we call it in short, methodologies and technical capacity, as the need grew, this network was started to bring together all of the different centers and service providers around the developing world as well as developed countries to create this network to support the different institutions and organizations that was started by or started through the RECP program to support industry in the developing countries to adopt methodologies that relates to RECP, to build capacity in industry, to develop case studies or best practices on how industry can improve resource efficiency, how they can improve their production processes to reduce cost, and also, of course, to have a positive impact on the environment that around them that they are dependent on to grow the economies and manufacturing sectors that they are in. So this network consists out of mainly cleaner production centers around the developing countries, and are looked at, or these cleaner production centers like the NCPC South Africa are really looked at as service providers to industry. And the network provides a platform for engagement and training and capacity building and joint projects and programs that is usually funded through either UNIDO or UNEP to build capacity within the centers, and of course to build capacity within industry within those countries. And the capacity building aspect of what we do is quite important, because a lot of the capacity that we develop is in industry, and a lot of our training programs that we have focuses on engineers, production managers, as well as the workers within the manufacturing plants that we work with. And our services include supporting businesses with assessments or resource efficiency and cleaner production assessments, facilitating waste reduction and waste savings and waste exchange through initiatives like industrial symbiosis, and also ensuring that there is a continuous process of applying resource efficient and cleaner production methodologies and practices within these participating manufacturing companies to improve the efficiency in industry. So the network consists of about 70 members at this stage. These members all have a membership that either is a observatory member, or they are just regular or ordinary members. The network is also divided in different regional networks. The NCPC South Africa participates in the African Regional Network, and our director, who can't be here today, he is the president of the African chapter. And in addition to establishing the network and the regional chapters, there is also a program or an additional aspect or initiative that was started in 2011 of a knowledge management system to share all of the best practices and case studies that has been collected in the different centers across the world, and specifically related to a certain chapter, to share best practices and case studies with amongst the centers. So yeah, I think that really covers everything about the RECPnet. As Fernando mentioned, we have a brochure that we'll share and give out to everyone. You can also go to the website, recpnet.org, and get more information about what the network does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, now we're going to move to our colleagues working on sustainability, innovation, and life cycle.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much, Fernando, for having us here today, for inviting me to come over and to be able to present here today the FSLCI. The Forum for Sustainability through Lifecycle Innovation is a 2.5-year-old organization, and we are essentially the global community organization for the lifecycle community. Lifecycle, for those of you who might not be familiar with it, is a methodology to analyze sustainability impacts over the full life cycle of a product, service, or organization. We are a multi-stakeholder network, so we don't necessarily focus on academics or on consultants or industry representatives, but we try to bridge between all of them. From a governance perspective, we are a non-profit registered in Berlin. And so you can see our General Assembly, essentially our members vote into office the Board of Directors, who then appoints the Executive Committee, and then we have some working groups or committees to work on specific subjects. We are a truly global organization, which is also represented in the fact that our Board of Directors is really coming from all over the world, including Canada, Japan, USA, Uganda, Germany, Chile, India, Brazil. You see it. The Executive Committee is composed out of my two colleagues, Jim, Guido, and myself. And as a global organization, we work together with all the existing national life cycle networks. Well, not all, but hopefully soon all. So those that you see here are our partner organizations. In addition to the life cycle networks, we also are engaged with other initiatives that are sort of close to heart, in the sense of Reporting 3.0 is an initiative on impact for reporting, now in 4SD obviously, but also the European Raw Materials Innovation Cluster and other organizations in that field. We focus on 4 key project areas, which are essentially communication, information, community, and education, because at the end of the day, we established ourselves to really reach out to decision makers and try to help them understand better what the consequences are when taking a decision from a life cycle perspective, because we feel this is really key to have a better information basis, so then you can decide which trade-offs you want to accept. What we offer to our members essentially is a global information hub, which means that we try to aggregate news. We provide an overview over events that happen in our community. We have a jobs platform. And for our members, I always like to say it's like a Facebook or LinkedIn for professionals. So we have a platform where you can connect with other members. You can view their profiles and then engage with them. And then obviously collaboration within our network, but also externally, is really important for us. So usually our members provide monthly webinars to their peers. As a member, you get rebates on conferences around the world, and you can participate in our workshops. Some things that we do, and I just want to highlight 2 things here, is one of the things that we recently launched, and I think, whoops, that was too fast. Here we go. Was the Medellin Declaration on Marine Litter and Life Cycle Assessment and Management. So I think we've talked during the conference also a little bit about the issue of the general marine litter and the pollution in our oceans. And in sort of life cycle assessment, this has really not been taken up. There's no impact category to really bring that into the methodology. And our role, as I said, is not so much doing the research, but our role is to put a spotlight on a topic that we feel as a collective is important. And so this declaration that we launched, let's say 3 months ago, is now signed by more than 150 people around the world and has been taken up by various stakeholders, and can be used essentially by researchers to go to their respective funding organizations and say, hey, this is an issue that we should be looking into, and vice versa. This might be sort of a little bit of a push for research institutions to look into it. Coincidentally, we organized a meeting during the LCM conference where I met with Carlos, who's I think somewhere in the room. And during that lifecycle management conference, we also organized a meetup on that specific topic, and there we brought together some of the stakeholders working on this topic, and it came out that actually South Africa, the research group in South Africa, is the one which is most ahead in terms of looking at this topic in lifecycle assessment, which was quite a surprise to many, but obviously pretty cool. With 1 minute to go, I just want to invite you to our upcoming conference in Berlin next year, which will be the Lifecycle Innovation Conference, where we really try to bridge between our community, the lifecycle community, and the innovation community. And with that said, I invite you to check out our website, which currently has a little bit of an issue. This is why I spent the last 2 hours trying to fix it, but I wasn't successful yet. But anyhow, visit our website, check us out, and if you want to know more about us, you can find me during the rest of the conference. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you very much. And in case you're wondering, we still have a lot of work to do in life cycle assessment. There's hundreds and hundreds of products, product groups that we have no idea of their environmental impact. And not to speak, there's also something on social life cycle assessment, new methodologies coming up in the last few years. And this is highly complementary with what cleaner production and resource efficiency is about. One of the SDGs that was mentioned this morning by Professor Franz Berhal was about responsible consumption. And this is really in practice what is implemented in terms of being in the ground in contact with industry. Now we're going to move to one of the actors working on frugal innovation. And then we're going to give the floor so he can share with us society that works on this topic.
Yeah. So, Future Earth has changed its name to Nordic Frugal Innovation Society.
Yes. Future Earth, I must apologize about that. Future Earth was here yesterday. They've been really active, and they are promoting this event in their online platform. Unfortunately, they had to. Well, they actually couldn't send someone for today. Yesterday they were here. But just so you know that some of the people online watching this event are actually at Future Earth online community. So if you're curious about it, we'll provide you the details. But yeah, that's well, just a happy coincidence that someone can also share what they're doing, because this is an important topic that we discussed in this symposium. And the rest of the networks mostly on environment, sustainability, economics, well-being, and now frugality, inclusiveness.
Yes.
On the making.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Fernando, and thank you very much for the Inno4ST conference organizers for having me here. So my name is Venkata Gandikota. So every superhero in movie has an origin story. So we have an origin story. So by the time we created this was December 2013, the nonprofit. But all the founders were entrepreneurs at the time, and we come from a background which is not typical for a nonprofit. So we are engineers and entrepreneurs, for serial entrepreneurs, one of them with more than 30 years of experience. So that's where we come from. But the origin story is, I have been helping Finnish businesses in India, and one of the things we realized was that Finnish businesses, they were trying to sell, they were just basically selling the products that they made for the Western markets in India, and most of the time that was not flying because forget B2C, it's mostly B2B. they were trying to sell to the other SMEs and so on, and they were just looking at the price, and upfront, it was not affordable for these SMEs to buy those products, and then they were asking for a cheaper alternative relatively, and then they were not able to provide the Finnish businesses, and then the Indian businesses were buying something else, and oftentimes maybe a very inferior product. So all our co-founders, we came together and said, like, we need to work with these businesses in Finland and the Nordics to get them to understand how to create a good quality product at an affordable price, because we believe that we are at a technological innovation and technology perspective, we are at that point where those kind of low-cost solutions using new technologies can be possible. And obviously, like we have been seeing with the new kind of processes like circular economy, sharing economy, new and innovative business models can also make solutions more accessible and affordable upfront. So with that in mind, we thought, like, okay, we should do this, and then we should start engaging businesses directly. And one of the best things we thought like we could do was from the very beginning in how to do it is, so we act almost like a consultancy under the nonprofit banner. So we've been doing trainings and workshops with big businesses, small businesses, universities, university students that are doing their business administration or intercultural communications, and sometimes also at, there's a fab lab at Tampere University of Technology, so we've been working with them. So these are the kind of things we've been doing. And obviously, we also saw that, being the entrepreneurs that we are, like, events are the best way to get the message across. Because individually, if you're going to do it individually with one-on-one, it's a very difficult thing. But if you have an event, you could just gather enough amount of people, then not just us saying, but we get others to come and tell, hey, how great this thing is. And maybe if they're credible enough, those people who are telling that, then the people who are coming in will buy into it. So that was the whole idea. And we started our annual conference called InnoFrugal 3 years ago. In 2015, we did it for the very first time at GE Healthcare in Helsinki, and then we've been doing it ever since, and I'll talk a bit more about the conference a bit later on. And just early this year, we also decided that we have been mostly been educating and doing trainings and workshops and these events, but we thought like we should maybe give it a bit more push from our side, and then so we said like we will work with specific businesses in product design and development, and we are starting off especially in healthcare. We have a very good partner from India on Stanford Biodesign. So we're doing that, and we see especially financing is very important, and we see that impact investing can be a very good partner for financing these low-cost, low-margin solutions. So that's what we've been doing, and so this is us. Antti is one of the founders, so he has been with, Rovio, Yolla, and so on all his life, and the other partner, he's an electrical engineer, and he has a product lifecycle management company. We have healthcare, we have circular economy program within our nonprofit. And different partners. We've been working with the Finnish agency Sitra, Fortum, we have foreign ministry. Just very quickly, I'll show you our upcoming conference so you get an idea like the kind of people we get, and I won't take too much of your time, maybe a couple of minutes. 1 minute. So, let's go to briefly this year's agenda, the next conference agenda, right? So we'll be going to do 3 workshops for the conference on day 1, and day 2 will be entirely on financial instruments, impact investing, and the traditional investors like TechAce or Partnership from Finland, or Nordic Development Fund or the European Innovation Investment Fund and so on and so forth. So we identified for next year, especially on day one, the workshops, it will be like 3/4 of the day will be workshops on 3 tracks. One is on advanced mobility and affordable electric vehicles, facilitated by Dr. Steve Simpley. He was previously head of automotive strategy at Tata Technologies. The second one is affordable medtech solutions by Dr. Prashant Jha. He uses the Stanford Biodesign process. He has been a director at the Stanford India Biodesign program for 10 years. And then the other one is smart cities and smart villages. There will be a lot of case studies, especially from India and also from Europe, that will be discussed. Just one moment. I just want to show you the kind of speakers we get. And so I'll just go to last year, because for the next year, we're not 100% there yet. So the European Commission, DG R&I, had has got a report from Fraunhofer and Nesta, and then they made the report last April at our conference. So for example, the kind of speakers we get at the conference are like that. So Navi Raju and Jaideep Prabhu are very well known, and Navi has been a TED Global speaker himself on frugal innovation. Unido has been coming to our conference and speaking. Jaideep Prabhu, actually we are going to do a UK edition at Judge Business School on March 27th next year. So the idea is to get these kind of things going everywhere. So please go to our website and you get an idea of like what we are doing. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll have a Dino Foresi speaker at next year's event of frugal innovation and life cycle and the STRN network and all of them. I'm just going to take 1 minute before we all become the network of hungry participants in Pretoria. Just to tell you that what we've done here is just an attempt to showcase and connect. By no means is an endorsement, by no means is a promotional. What we're trying to show is that Inno4SD it is about all of us. It's about what we represent, what we work for, about our visions, about our ideas. Some of us were more academic. Some of us, we really believe that we want to help and we can help companies. Some of us, we believe in social justice. And sometimes we are individuals that we get along with other individuals, and then somehow we are a network because we're a network of individuals. Sometimes we are a network of organizations. Sometimes we are networks of networks, and then it becomes all complicated. But at the end of the day, by a matter of fact, it's about us. It's about individuals wanted to achieve a goal. We hope to contribute towards that aim. With that in mind, I'll invite you to go back to the deck, I believe, for the lunch. Yes, that's correct. We believe so. Remember, there is a vegetarian section, gluten-free section. It's a bit hiding somewhere in the corner, but the food was delicious. And then we'll be back here at 2 o'clock for the repertoire, no, for the panels. Can't remember. Repertoires Work Cafe, followed by panels, and Astrid will take over back then. Thank you very much. We'll be back here, and do network, do meet other people at lunchtime. It is forbidden to sit with more than 3 people that you already know from yesterday, okay? Thank you very much.